we've established the importance of speaking to Hashem in one's time of need, how does one address Hashem? We have a lot of things we need to ask from Hashem. How do we address it? Well, if we take a look at the Gemara on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis and Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph in Maseches Brachos, we see something very striking. Chana is asking Hashem for a child. She was unable to have children. And we know in the end, she was able to have Shmuel Hanavi. And the Gemara records what it is that Chana said to Hashem and how she addressed Hashem. And some of the arguments the Gemara brings is Chana argues to Hashem and she says, Hashem, imagine a person who was very, very poor, came in and asked for some food for someone who was very, very wealthy, and that person was sitting in the middle of a large meal. And the wealthy person said, sorry, I can't give you any food. What would the poor person say? The poor person would turn to the rich person and said, I don't understand, you have this huge meal, this huge feast. You can't at least give me a piece of bread? Hashem, all I'm asking from you, you created this entire universe. Give me a son. Hashem, you've created every part of the body for a purpose. Hashem, you gave women the ability to nurse children, to sustain children. Why did you create those parts in me? Isn't it to have children? Allow me to have a child. We turn to Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu is pleading and asking Hashem to help the Jewish people. And the Gemara tells us Moshe Rabbeinu did some very extreme things. The Gemara said it would be impossible to say if not for the fact that the pasuk seemed to indicate it. But Moshe, kiviyachol, as if grabbed onto Hashem and said to him, I am not going to let you go until you forgive the Jewish people. Moshe even said, I'm willing to give up my life and my recorded history, everything. Erase me from the book that you wrote. Erase me from the Torah. Such an extreme argument that Moshe Rabbeinu made. And in the end, the Gemara says that Moshe Rabbeinu turns to Hashem and he says, Hashem, what are all the nations of the world going to say if you destroy the Jewish people? They're going to say that you're weak. And Hashem said, I don't understand, didn't they see all the miracles? But at the end of the day, Moshe says, yeah, you were able to do those miracles against Mitzrayim, against the Egyptians, but at the end of the day, look, you lost. And the Gemara says something very fascinating about this argument that Moshe Rabbeinu had with Hashem. And it probably applies to Chana too. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns to Moshe and says, you defeated me. And not only that, the Gemara says, Hichisani bidvarecha, you brought me to life with your words. This is the exact opposite of what I would think about the response that Hashem would have. What chutzpah. How could you talk to Hashem like that? Hashem says he's going to do something, you get out of the way. What right do you have to make demands? Rabbi Isai, we learned something very, very fascinating from the way in which Chana and Moshe address Hashem. And they address Hashem very, very differently than the way we address Hashem. And you want to know why that is? Because to us, Hashem is the fairy tale godmother. Hashem is theoretical. Hashem is a story. He's a tooth fairy. Although we might really believe in some capacity, of course we know that Hashem is real and we believe in the creator of the world. But how much do we really believe that Hashem holds the keys to our life? How much do we really believe that Hashem is listening to us and is willing to hear our arguments and even willing to change based upon those arguments? How much do we believe that? HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits to hear our tefillos. He wants to hear them and he's ready to give us. Sometimes he could say no. We'll talk about that later, of course. But he wants us to ask. He wants us to have that relationship. Chana and Moshe understood Hashem is not the fairy tale godmother. Hashem is real. And just like if I want a raise, I got to make that argument with my boss. If I want anything in life, Hashem holds the keys. He's the only one who holds the keys. Do we daven like that? Do we talk to Hashem like that? People don't feel passionate in their davening. They don't feel passionate in talking to Hashem because they don't really believe it matters. The difference between us, Chana and Moshe, is Chana and Moshe knew that it mattered. Chana and Moshe understood what was on the line, because if Hashem says no, if Hashem doesn't heed our tefillos, then there's really nothing we can do. This is our only opportunity. And they davened and they talked to Hashem like it matters. What can we do to increase our passion in tefillah? Well, number one, we can actually go in feeling like it makes a difference, feeling like there's someone listening to us, because there is someone listening to us, and he's waiting to hear our tefillos. We can daven with that passion, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's waiting there to answer.